This is kvci.blogspot.com. It seemed at the time the Quitman 10 were arrested that apparently God knew what he was doing, and God wanted to highlight the problems over in Quitman in Brooks County, and it seemed like he's only using the Quitman 10 to highlight a greater and a more deeper and ugly problem in Brooks County. So I'm going to journey from Quitman to Valdosta to I-75 North on our way to Macon, and I want you to travel with us as we recap just a little bit about the arrest of 10 outstanding citizens in Brooks County in 2010. And I just want you to watch and be your own judge. The next 3 or 4 video clippings will be about the Quitman 10 and the problems that we're encountering, and as well as voting rights. Listen, please. May the 14th, 10 o'clock. I'm George Boston Ryans. I'm taking a trip to Macon to a rally in support of the Quitman 10. I'm on my way on I-75 North. My beautiful brother Robertson, John Robertson, was supposed to come with me, but his mother fell sick. And so I'm riding along to 877 Stewart Street in Macon, Georgia, hoping to see some more civil rights leaders there, as well as members of the Quitman 10. Today is May 14th, 2011. We're now in the city of Macon, and we're on Forsyth Street. We're heading for 877. We should be in the general vicinity. Mercer University is to our right. It seems that the Quitman 10 may just be the ones that bring, hopefully, some destination on the left. I think I've been to this church here before, years ago with the NAACP. Yeah, I think this is the church we came to. I didn't know at the time, when they first told me about the Quitman 10 was going to be at this church.
You have arrived.
But we've been here before. And this is the church. Picture of the church. Stewart Chapel Church. Stewart Chapel AME Church. And I did get here pretty early. And that's the way I planned it. That's the way I wanted it to be. And we are here. There are some people who are already here. And that's the Quitman crew right there. Some of the Quitman crew right there. They are on time. See the church bus here. I'm going to park up here with my Quitman 10 group. I get turned around here. That guy there, I think he's from Fulton County. But these people here, they was at the Brooks County Jail the other day with us right there. That's them right there. I'm going to stop so you can get a look at them right there. Yeah. All right, we are here. We got here early.
Yo, if I had 100 sheep and one of them got away, I would leave the 99 and go find that one. That's right. Look from the locks and jaws of Satan, I come creating, penetrating with force from the land of the lost and coming. Like Muhammad got the devil on the run, rising like the sun.
This is Stewart Chapel, AME Church in Macon, Georgia, 877 Forsyth Street. We come here to celebrate and recognize the Quitman 10 from Quitman, Georgia in the county of Brooks. Today is May 15th, 2011. It's not that far from Valdosta, Brooks County. We got here earlier, and we want you to join in whatever is happening today. Of course, my name is George Rhymes, and on behalf of kvci.blogspot.com, we do this because we want to keep you informed.
But now they're standing up, and you can't bend them back. You know, once people get a taste of freedom, you know, it's hard to send them back.
Amen.
You know, that's why they want to keep the slaves, you know, ignorant. They don't want you to read. They don't want you to read the Bible or anything. Because anything that gives you a taste of freedom, to really understand what it feels like to be free, you're not going to want to be a slave anymore. And that's what this is all about. Folks have woke up, you know, and they've decided that they're not going to take it anymore. So we need to reinforce this. So really, come forward.
I got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. I got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. I got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. Be alright, be alright, be alright. Thank you so much. I am just so pleased to be here today. I want to thank Senator Robert Brown again. I want to thank Tyrone Brooks. That's my movement brother back. You know Tyrone's always got something to do. I don't care what you're doing. He's always got some movement work for you to do. And I said to Helen, I've been to 2 funerals in the last week. I saw you up at Charles Mathis' funeral. And then my good friend Grace Davis, who made things much better for women in Georgia, she's the one that had enough influence with the Speaker David to get him to put his signature on some gender legislation. That's how we got the Georgia Commission on Women. And so she passed away as well. But I think we have, I'm not just saying I got a feeling everything's going to be all right.
On one side, especially they were looking for a king. They were looking for somebody to stand up. Well, what I said now, in this day and time, we've been looking for somebody to stand up. And all of a sudden, we find some women that stood up. We find some women that stood up. Now, we must also understand that we got some new Negroes in town, too. New Negroes. Some got some education, others don't. Cause they look like us does not mean that they're going to be fucked. So have no misgivings about folks. See, I was looking in the paper the other day. They got this guy named, he's your city council named Harrison. He's a red dog. And he talked about Senator Brown, me and my wife would call us racist. And, you know, my connotation of being a racist, you got to have something to enforce being a racist. Now, if you're the chief of police and you find me call someone black, you can enforce that. You're a racist. If you, the man, you find me because you're black, because I'm black, you're a racist. But tell me what the Lady Lucas have to enforce being a racist. None.
I'm Helen Butler. As Senator Brown said, I'm the executive director of the Coalition for the People's Agenda. It's an advocacy group comprised of representatives from the civil rights, human rights, environmentalists, peace, justice, labor, youth, women, and citizens who are concerned about improving the quality of governance. And of course, we're convened by the Honorable Dr. Joseph Eccles Lowry. And I am always happy to have my People's Agenda group here with me. So before I go any further, I want members of the Coalition of the People's Agenda to stand up. Always happy to have them to be with us, supporting our efforts, and want to let you know especially that we're here in support of the Quitman 10. But we want to talk about this morning redistricting. As Senator Brown said, it's important to us, not just elected officials. They have their own agenda, but for us, it's important to us because that is how we get to choose who we want to represent us. And that's critical, not just anybody that's going to be running for office. We need to select people that will be representative of our interests and support them and make sure we get the people that we want. So there's a process called redistricting and reapportionment that happens. How many of you participated in the census? Good. Everybody participated. There were some who didn't. Well, let me tell you, you should have participated because that determines who gets represents you, but more importantly, it determines where the money comes to. If you talk about your government, how does the money come from the federal government and the state? It's based on that census count. So therefore, we were asking everybody to count me black. Even if you were Latino, they're black Latinos, if you're African, a lot of them, Jamaican, didn't consider themselves black like we do in America. But we wanted them to be counted black because they live in our neighborhoods, and in terms of the establishment, they consider them black. So we want you, those who didn't participate, in the next 10 years, please do. We want everybody to participate. But what is redistricting? Really is just a drawing or an allocation of the population that will determine how you get counted. And it's really important. Reapportionment is a process where there are 435 seats in Congress and the population of the U.S. gets allocated based on those numbers. And it happens every 10 years. Why is it important? Again, you have a voice in your government based on that redistricting process. But more important than just having a voice on education, on fair housing, on what comes to jobs that come to your community, you have a means of participating in the decision-making process. We want you to testify at the public hearings that your counties will be having. Brooks County, Bibb County, everyone. We want you to be a participant at the public hearing. How many of you have already heard about the hearings that are being scheduled in your counties? All right, a couple of us have. So we know when those are going to be happening. We want to flood them with people. We don't want them to be just one-sided representation. We want people to flood it, to say that this is what we want the lines to be drawn, because as he said, you know, there was a process that the University of Georgia used to do redistricting and reapportionment. The 2010 legislature decided they want to take that power away from an independent body. It was headed by a black woman. They have now taken it over and given it to a white woman who happens to be, and I'm not advocating parties, I'm giving you facts so that you know what the facts are. But this lady that now has the drawing of the lines of where the boundaries will be is a Republican National Committee lawyer who has, by the way, been on the forefront of fighting the Voting Rights Act, on the forefront of ensuring that photo ID comes in place, on the forefront of ensuring that if you walk down the street now, because Governor Deal signed yesterday yesterday, HB 87, if you walk down the street and a policeman thinks you might be a non-citizen, you're going to have to provide proof of your citizenship. How many of you can prove that right now that you're a U.S. citizen? You got your birth certificate on you? No. Do you carry it with you? No. Do you have your passport with you? No. Do you even have a birth certificate? A lot of us don't, right? I don't have mine. But if I want it, I got to pay a poll tax to go get it. Why? Because it costs $25 to pay to get a birth certificate. And if I get a passport, it's going to cost me $150. So you see how we're going back to the old days? Do you know why the Voting Act was put in place in the first place? Let me just start there. How many know that? Somebody tell me why the Voting Act was put in place. I don't want my people's agenda people. Somebody else. You like, tell me why the Voting Act was put in place. Speak up a little bit. Yes, ma'am.
Because of the discrimination practice that the South used to keep African Americans from going to the polls, they were pretty much going back to grandfather clause, poll tax, just anything that they could use to discriminate, they would use it.
You said it right on. Give her a big hand.
That's Mr. Trump.
They used to ask us to cite the preamble to the Constitution. How many people can...
Movement in Georgia, the government's going to come down and they were going to indict us and they were going to remove us from the school board. And crisis.
Right. Well, I just want to say congratulations, first of all, to you and to all of the Quitman team. But from what you've said, you all are really moving. And you did it yourself. It was not the Democratic Party. Come on. So please tell me what it is you want us to do about your success. Because let me tell you, we always suffer. It's not that we don't have to go through something. You don't just come up and have a lot of success.
Turn me round, turn me round, turn me round, ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let no G.B.R. turn me round. Turn me round, ain't gonna let no G.B.R. turn me round, we gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land, ain't gonna let no sheriff turn me round, turn me round, turn me round, ain't gonna let no sheriff turn me round, we gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land. Ain't gonna let the Ku Klux Klan turn me round. Well, turn me round. My Lord, turn me round. Ain't gonna let the Ku Klux Klan turn me round. We gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom. Y'all want to get to freedom land? Got to march. Got to walk. Here's what Jose would say. If Jose Williams was in there today, Rita, he would say something like this. Oh, well, I read in the paper. Y'all stand up, stand up, stand up. Y'all supposed to say, oh yeah, when I say it. Yeah, oh yeah, like that. That's what we do when we march on the Mooreswood Bridge. Rita knows this stuff. John Evans should know this stuff. David should know this stuff. Oh, well, I read in the paper just the other day. All the freedom fighters. They were on their way. Or they were coming by bus. And an airplane too. You know they'll even walk. Or if you ask them to. I said,
down to H&H restaurant in Macon at 807 Forsyth Street. And I really recommend you coming down to eat. I have my plate ordered, and Brother Tyrone asked us to come down here. And as you can see, it is historical, all the pictures on the wall. So if you ever come to Macon, I recommend coming to H&H Restaurant. I think he said this is his, let me ask him, whose restaurant this is, my brother?
Mama Louise back there, that lady.
Okay, that's a friend of yours?
That's my aunt.
That's your aunt?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's what
They came out of Hancock County, Sparta, Georgia. 50 years ago, they organized this business. That lady right up there, that was some of us. We buried her 2 years ago. And that's a resolution right here that we did. After she passed, we did this resolution in her honor.
Okay, all right. Okay, that just...
Traveled with the Allman Brothers. Worked for the Allman Brothers, cooked for them on the road. The Allman Brothers kept her go in business. And one thing just leads to another. They kept expanding and finally got here. And they've been in business almost 50 years.
Okay, almost 50 years. Okay, thank you.
You want to read this right here?
I will.
This is from Mama Inez.
Okay, I'll read that. Thank you, man. Now, this is, we came right over, and I'm going to enjoy my food here in a minute. But I like the way they have it laid out here. This picture at the back there. So again, this is George Boston Rhymes, and this is going to be on kbci.blogspot.com, which means keeping Valdosta citizens informed. And these are some of the people who, most of them was at the meeting that we had today. And we're going to step outside and get the outside of it before I shut this down. This is outside, and we're going to close on this. But if you ever in Macon, here's a restaurant you can come, H&H Restaurant, 807 Forsyth Street, right up from the church we just came from. Okay? Welcome. We're down here at H&H Restaurant, a friend of Representative, or cousin of Representative Tyrone Brooks, and I have Senator Brown here. I also have the Lucas over here, and he's going to give you a few words. But will you please count this out for me? What happened today, and where are we going from here?
Okay, today
there was a good crowd, I might add.
Right. We had a good crowd from all over the state, representing several different organizations. We are now mobilizing for a major rally on June the 18th in Quitman, Georgia, in support of the Quitman 10, but also in support of justice throughout the state. This case really is a microcosm of what is happening in Georgia as a whole, especially rural Georgia. So we're going to get state and national media attention. We're going to bring in national leaders, and we're going to have a massive turnout on June 18th in Quitman, Georgia, during the Juneteenth celebration in that town.
Okay. Now, inside, you also mentioned something about the Mississippi Project, or what was you talking about in that? Highlight that for me a little bit, please.
The Mississippi Georgia Project is an effort to bring a face and name to poverty in Georgia. We've talked about two Georgias for years, but we've never had a face and a name for it. Now we are calling that second Georgia, Mississippi Georgia, and we are going to bring the face of poverty to reality. We're going to have an opportunity for poor people, black, white, brown, whatever color, to tell their stories of their living conditions and what they are suffering from in rural Georgia.
Okay, now okay, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So this would be an opportunity to get that message out.
Okay, now you also mentioned that inside that you spoke of you going to be doing something unique from the position of senator. What you plan on doing on that, please?
I'm running for the mayor of Macon, Georgia. I'm leaving the Senate in about 22 days, and I will be an official, qualified candidate for mayor of the city of Macon, Georgia.
Since I'm interviewing you, just tell me short form, where you plan to take Macon?
I plan to take Macon from the dark ages to the sunshine. bringing out of the shadows of institutionalized racism into the modern world.
Thank you, my beautiful brother.
Yes, sir.
And I must say, State Senator, my
Yes,
beautiful
sir.
brother, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Greetings. This is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines. And once again, I'm standing in front of the Brooks County Courthouse. In this courthouse, Lula Smart was found not guilty of 30 to 40 charges along the lines of voter fraud. We didn't believe anything was wrong or that they committed any crimes. But we believe that it was because the first time in Brooks County history, blacks became the majority makeup of the Brooks County Board of Education. I heard through the grapevine that the state would be dropping charges against the remaining 11 Quitman 10 plus 2. And so I came over. They don't have that document yet, but I want America to know that it is what it is. I'm reading from State of Georgia versus Lula Smart, indictment 11-CR-180, 11 September 2014. I will be contacting to get the official document because I want to know the exact truth of what the state of Georgia is doing to these outstanding citizens. And so we'll be getting back to you on that. But it is pretty near sure that the state will be dropping all charges against the Quitman 10 plus 2. I don't have it in writing, but I'm on my way to Atlanta, and when I get it, I will get it back to you. Because once again, you have a right to know. You know that the news media in South Georgia, the state of Georgia, and across the United States of America have failed the American people to keep them abreast to what happened in this most important high-profile voting rights case here in Brooks County in the city of Quitman, Georgia. We're going to give you the truth because you deserve no less. Now, I went into the courtroom and the clerk in the courthouse was very professional. They provided me with information, and I want to commend them for that. But you know that there is a Ferguson in Missouri. I remember probably a year or two ago, I came and I asked the people in the Brooks County Courthouse, was any blacks employed in and around the courthouse? There are 6 people employed in the Brooks County Courthouse, but not a single black person is employed. Now, black or white does not make it right, but right always make it right. And so we're going to be asking the question, much like the Andy Griffin Show, much like Bonanza and many other TV shows of yesteryear. Whites benefited from these television programs and these jobs that was definitely a white affirmative action set-aside program. Let me expound to you a little further on that issue, since everybody is focused on Ferguson, Missouri, but not Ferguson, Georgia. Do you not know that here in Brooks County, a black man could not be a police officer, could not be a sheriff deputy, could not hold office right here in the United States of America? Did you know that? So now, what that was affirmative action for whites over blacks. That means that affirmative action is as American as apple pie. Only difference is when blacks stepped up to the plate and said we too have a right to receive jobs, be equally employed, receive an equal education, that people began to holler reverse discrimination, or you blacks want special privileges. But history, not the history that the black man wrote, but the history that many good white right people wrote. And that is the truth. They did think enough to write the truth. And the truth is, and cannot be denied, each and every time that you look at the Andy Griffin Show, ask, did God have any blacks in this world? When you watch Bonanza, ask yourself, was blacks in this world? When Tarzan, outside of demeaning roads, there was no black people in Africa, with all the ancient history of the African people was not shown in a good light. Tarzan was the brain of the land of Africa. No black man, with all the kings and queens and Amun-Re and Timbuktu and many other Hannibal, historic, monumental Ethiopians, the priests that gave the world civilization, and all the religions on the planet came from, well, not Africa, because first of all, even the word Africa comes from a white European general that went into Africa and slaughtered our people outright. Now look, it may pain some people to know the truth, but the Jesus said that we love, not the other Jesus that some people love, but I'm talking about the Jesus of my ancestors, who told us and instructs us to want for your neighbor that which you want and have for yourself. Now, if this courthouse was in a city like Quitman, and if all blacks had these jobs and no whites, then that is wrong. And Jesus that we serve in the black community, our Jesus is not happy with that. When our Jesus see that a postal worker lie on the stand, or the G.B.R. lie on the stand, or the Secretary of State investigators lie on the stand, and others, or when the former school attorney for Brooks County schools pay $1,500 to get a private investigator to investigate the Quitman 10+2 because someone is not happy with the results of an election. Our Jesus in the black community that taught us through our lineage that we must love and respect and treat all people as creatures and human beings of the God of the universe. That's our Jesus. So we know that if people does not follow the dictates of our Jesus and can love everybody regardless of what they do to you, we know that that's another Jesus. And we don't want any parts of that Jesus, for we look down the annals of history and we know beyond doubt that that is not the Jesus that is intertwined with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that we find in the volume of sacred law and stand with what is right in God's word. Now, as I close, I want to say to you, it's Monday, December the 1st. I'm on my way to Gordon, Georgia, to City Council meeting this evening. I'm going to be there with Mayor Ann Whippaloo because unlike many of our entertainers, unlike many of our civil rights organizations, unlike many of the imams in Islam, unlike many of the pastors in our communities, unlike many of the politicians, black included, not unlike many of the other mayors that are suffering and going through the same thing Mary Ann Whippleoo are going through, but they are too afraid, or they are too, whatever you want to call it. Maybe God has hardened their heart. So I can't speak ill of them, because God may have hardened all of these people's heart against Mary Ann Whippleoo as she walked down this road of pain, suffering, undue criticism, and the blatant disrespect of the elected mayor in Gordon. And this includes even people that are in city government. But they seem to circumvent the laws of the state of Georgia in order to remove this mayor. Mary Ann Whippleoo is an outstanding mayor. She made history. She's the first black mayor in the history of Gordon. She is the first female mayor of Gordon, and she's the first black female. Now, people can fight against her and remove her from office with the help of Superior Court judges who may side with those that are in the clique and among the slicks and go have meetings in the woods someplace. But there's one thing about it. You cannot change the truth. And the truth is that Mary Ann Whippleoo is the mayor, the historic mayor, and they started fighting her even before she took office, but it was intensified the third week when she asked for a forensic audit to account for the taxpayers' dollars. Now, we can criticize her any way we want to, but in the end, I believe, like the Quitman 10+2, I believe that truth will prevail. Truth will prevail. And do you not know that 19 days, the Lula Smart and the people in Brooks County and about 2 or 3 pastors stayed in this courtroom because we did not want to leave these black people, these black female and one male alone. And so we stood here. So although Channel 6, WCTV, WALB, Channel 10, Channel 27 out of Tallahassee, CNN with Victor Blackwell, MSNBC with Al Sharpton, 60 Minutes and 48 Hours, none of these big wheels came to a single hour of court proceeding that dealt with voting rights here in the state of Georgia. Now, if I am lying, I want you to come and condemn me based upon the truth that you have that will refute what I'm saying. But that you cannot do, because the people here in Brooks County, when the court case was going on, asked the question, where is Channel 6? Where is Channel 10? Where is Channel 27? Where is Al Sharpton? Where is Dateline and the rest of them, Oprah Winfrey? You have 12 outstanding citizens, educators, many of them, professional people, if you will, stood here, faced liars in the courtroom, as Shaveen King said, liars in the courtroom, as Pastor Avery has said, liars in the courtroom, under oath in the state of Georgia, here in Brooks County. And the news media seem to have been in cahoots with them by not recovering not one day. Not one day, y'all. Listen, I'm not talking about in Afghanistan, Pakistan, or Iran. I'm talking about in the state of Georgia, in the United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. They didn't report a damn thing. Nothing. It was as if, though, the 1857 charter, let me repeat, the 1857 Dred Scott decision is alive and well, which says that no black man had any rights that a white man had to respect. So that means that your news is not their news. I am under a 18-month criminal trespass for doing nothing. For doing nothing in Lowndes County. But Sheriff Deputy Thomas, on May the 25th, put me under a criminal trespass warning, yet I violated no law. So now I'm asking a question. How many of our young black men, how many of our poor white people have they placed under a criminal trespass who violated no law? And because they were not like I am, a retired military veteran of 21 years, maybe they went on the property anyway, and they arrested them and started their career in crime after seeing that those who supposed to enforce the law are the law violators and are the criminals masquerading with the shield of David as peacemakers. How many blacks are now in prison or on death row based on a lie, just like they lied on me, and will not give me after 18 months a letter stating that they removed me from this criminal trespass that I have audio recording from the Lowndes County Sheriff Deputy Radio. So you can't say I'm lying on the deputy. You can't say I'm lying on Sheriff Prine. You cannot say I'm lying on a government agency here in the state of Georgia, in the United States of America, before the entire world. You can't say that I am lying. What you can say, that I'm walking down the road of the patriots who founded this great nation, and I put my life on the line during the Vietnam era to protect this nation from both foreign and domestic enemies, and I have no intentions of backing away now, because I love my mother. You may not love your mother. I love my father. You may not love your father. I love my sister. You may not love your sister. I love my brother. You may not love your brother. I love my children. You may not love your children. I love my grandchildren. You may not love your grandchildren. And because I love them, I stand up for them and with them. Everybody cannot go to sleep at the wheel. We must stand up. And I'm going to say this before I close. All you preachers, all you rabbis, all you imams in Islam, on WD side and Louis Farrakhan's side, how can you stand before your congregation and say that you love the great worthies who you follow, but you don't stand up against the wrong? If you do not stand up against the wrong in God's world, you can never, ever, ever stand up for the right. You cannot stand up for right and refuse to stand up against the wrong. It's impossible. And so when you see the people that get all your tithe money, get all of your offerings, get all your benevolence contributions, but me, you won't give me a dime because you don't love me. You don't want to see the Christ spirit that lives within me, that cares about you when you don't even care about yourself. You don't like that spirit in me to make me get on the road to travel this day to Macon. Nobody gonna give me a dime, not 25 cents for going. So this is why they call me crazy. And maybe I am crazy, but there's one thing about it. Somewhere I read, for God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man sow, that shall he also reap. And so I choose to do good in God's world, because somewhere down the line, my family, your family, will benefit by the truth speakers. If you speak truth, you bring life into existence. But when you travel down the wicked road, you are invitating death, hell, and destruction in your lineage. Now, that's just the way it works. I didn't write that. The Bible says, and God said it like this: wherever I find you, I will appoint your portion. That means that God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sow, that shall he also reap. God went a step further and said this: I have no respecter of persons. For what I say unto one, I say unto all. And so that means for all these jobs here in the Brooks County Courthouse in Quitman to be filled by whites, as if though there is no blacks that are qualified. Now look, we know what qualification means when it comes down to the hiring of blacks. Do you not know? Yesterday, a black person could have a PhD, but he couldn't vote. A black person could be a lawyer, but he couldn't go in the restaurants. A lawyer could be a doctor, but he couldn't use a bathroom on the public highway. A black person could own 300 acres of land only to go through the back door in a restaurant, if he could go into it at all, just to sit down to have lunch. Now look, it wasn't a Democrat, it wasn't a Republican, it wasn't an independent, it wasn't the Green Party that caused them to be mistreated against what is written in the Constitution. It was the blackness of their skin and kin. It's something about this black skin that God gave to his original people on the planet, according to history that white people wrote. The black man and woman cannot be traced back to the starting point of the black race on this planet. I researched it myself. You can find the starting point of the Caucasian people, but there is no history of where the black, darker-skinned Ethiopians came from. You can't find it. So, this is not being boastful. I was brought up here in Brooks County. I'm not supposed to know what I know, but there is something about the God of our ancestors. If you live right, and if you pass that spirit on through your lineage of righteous living, you will have dreams, you will have visions that this world will be amazed by. Even the professors who have learned in the schools of higher learning will knock on your door to find out where you got what you have. They don't understand that only the Holy Spirit searches the deep things of God. There are many things that you can read up on, but there are many things that is revealed. And I do promise you, I'm closing now. It's two things. See, the devil can read the Bible, and he can pretend. But there is one thing the devil cannot get, because God only gives that to whom he has called, chosen, and elected. The devil cannot get the mysteries of God. God only gives the mysteries into the future to those who are worthy by putting themselves in the right position to receive it. And as it is written, so shall it be done. You see, just going to church, just going to mosque, just going to synagogue, and playing that foolish game that our children now are laughing at, because it don't help them to stop the police officers from shooting them down, or their mothers, or their fathers, or their wives down. Just going to church won't stop that. It's gonna take the truth being published and revealed to a wicked people and a wicked world. That's what it's gonna take. And this is why the wicked understand what Jesus said. If they don't understand nothing else, there's one thing they understand. They understand when Jesus said, "And ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free." The wicked, even of this dispensation, they understand that. And this is why they were not here for the Lula Smart 19-day court case. Because they didn't want you to know the truth. They did not want you to see how the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, investigators, and people from his office came to Brooks County and lied under oath. I had been talking before they went to court, because Pastor Benjamin and myself walked the streets over here, and people talked about how the G.B.R. intimidated them. They even talked about, this is nothing new, you can hear all this already on YouTube. You see, it's something about truth, you're going to hear it again. A G.B.R. agent was in a white truck. They say he was the worst of all of them. And I'm going to say it again. Secretary of State, the governor of the state of Georgia, the Civil Rights Division in the Department of Justice. Personally, because of the manner in which the voters in Brooks County was intimidated, I believe there needs to be another election held for the Brooks County School Board of Election winners of the last election. they need to have another election, because it seemed as if, though, from the governor on down to the local level, there was a conspiracy to put fear into the black voters. So they would not only not vote, so they would not only vote by absentee ballot, but they wouldn't vote at all. That they would not vote at all. And so the Secretary of State, by him ignoring these meetings over here at the Bucks County Board of Elections office, when he ignored the meetings, when he ignored that meeting was not publicized to the general public as they say it should be in their own red handbook, no recording secretary. They didn't even read and approve the minutes for the last meeting. They did not follow Robert's rules in order. They did not even prove the agenda at that meeting. Commissioner Maxwell talked about people being left off the ballot. Sister Gibbs and others talked about how much more can a community take. And they wrote complaints to the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp's office. And so Brian P. Kemp at least sent an investigator down from the Secretary of State's office by the name of Glenn Archer. I personally gave Glenn Archer a DVD about the problems here in Brooks County. And we all thought that the Secretary of State, with the backing of the governor, would come into Brooks County and at least investigate and give a findings back to the people. The people start telling me, Ryan, what's the status? And until this day, the people are telling me nothing. You've had 2 elections since then, and nothing has happened. And yet they want our sons and our daughters to go fight these wars in foreign nations of the world. I think our fight is here in Georgia and not overseas. And I believe that when we get some black people employed in this courthouse, we should think about joining the United States Armed Forces again. When we can get the right to vote without these impediments and investigations from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and the Secretary of State sent his people down to testify, or when David Miller refused to give that document that in one trial they asked for his original signature, and that haven't been provided to the courts yet. Until we can change these things, I don't see any need of a black man or a white right person going into the United States Armed Forces until they bring about these changes. Now, like I said before, I graduated in Washington Street High School, and then I was subject to go and fight in the war in Vietnam. And so I joined the military. I joined up. Ended up staying 21 years. And for me to come back and to see what I see here today that is happening with the black man, the same thing that happened to my granduncle when he said he came back from the war and could even use a toilet on the highway. Afghanistan, Russia, China, they all are watching now. They want to see what good is a democracy over their form of government. Now, once again, if I have said something that is untrue, I want you to email me at bostongBR@gmail.com and refute what I say. But I guarantee you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. Always remember St. John 8:32. God, Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. Once again, this is the Get To Free Press. I started this when I found out that many people here in South Georgia and the state of Georgia and in the United States of America, they only want black folk to go fight their wars. And they only want us to be employed and not the owners of the businesses where we work. That was proven by the Tulsa, Oklahoma Black Wall Street. They dropped bombs on those black people, and yet they want us to feel guilty, as if though our children are out of control. Our children may be out of control, but our children are also sick. They are sick. They are suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome. They are suffering
from post-traumatic slave syndrome. That means the negatives were passed on to their mothers and fathers, grandparents, and lineage is embedded within them. And it may take another 500 years to get it from us. But I will assure you that the God of creation is on our side. And though we suffer and though we die, by the blood of the Lamb we shall overcome. We don't need Oprah. If Oprah don't need us, we don't need her. If MSNBC don't need to come to Quitman to see about us, we don't need MSNBC. If CNN don't come here to report our story, we don't need CNN. If WCTV won't meet us on the steps here, when you got these 12 outstanding citizens catching hell on the backside of heaven and they don't come, we don't need them. If Channel 10, WALB don't come here when we need them, we don't need them. We do not need them. If they don't see us, we don't need to see them. It's just that simple. If the Quitman Free Press did not sit in the courtroom and record day by day and report fairly, so the people in Brooks County would not be given a distorted view about the Quitman 10+2, and then they end up losing an election because somebody lied on them, we better wake up, y'all. When a sitting postal clerk that's employed right down the road here can lie under oath, or when a registrar can take ballots home and process them in the privacy of her own home or at her resort location when she go on vacation and nobody say nothing about it. Nobody say nothing about it. Eric Holder, the Justice Department, are fully aware of it because we sent videos to him along with Representative Tyrone Brooks. They know about all this. Oprah knows about it. If she don't, we've sent it to her. Tyler Perry, all of them. They should know about this. And yet people tell us they are for voting rights. Even the Democratic Party was not here. I'm wondering why we are voting Democratic when the Democrats ignore, in my opinion, the Quitman 10+2. Why didn't they come? The Democratic Party in Lowndes County should have been here. The Democratic Party here in Brooks County should have been here. The Democratic Party in Thomas County should have been here. The Democratic Party in Cook County should have been here. And yes, we also should have been in Madison, Florida, where the Madison 9 outstanding citizens was also victims of the same conspiracy that took place here in Brooks County, Georgia, took place in Madison, Florida. Just Google them. I went over there and reported over there as well. But people don't appreciate what I do. They'll send all their money to these people who you never hear from. They don't talk like this. But see, you reject me because you don't like the truth that I speak. And so you have sided with the devil and the forces of wickedness over a person who would give you the truth because they want you free. Allah have never set anybody free. One more. Willacoochee, Georgia. I was in Willacoochee 4 years ago. We was over there at City Hall. The local NAACP district coordinator, Larry Lockett, they called the news media for that meeting. But guess what? Not a single news media showed up. But I was there. And yet, look at the Quitman 10+2. What do you hear them say about George Boston Rhymes? What do they say about me and the work that I've done? Look, they don't have to say nothing about me because I understand that this thing is about God's program. It's not about me. The Quitman 10 is only to highlight what is going on in Meigs, Gordon, Lumpkin, Dawson, Davis, Warrenton, and other cities in the state of Georgia. So please, don't blame the Quitman 10+2 when you see them have meetings and they won't even thank me. Or when you see the mayors who I stand up to try to help won't even say, thank you, Brother Rhymes. Don't come to me and tell me, Rhymes, they didn't say nothing about you with all you do. Don't blame them. Please, do not blame them. God is using people as he has never used before. He wants people to understand it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about the Quitman 10. It's not about all these newly elected black mayors that are being mistreated. It's about all of us. Yes, it's about the very foundation of this United States of America and the Constitution we say we believe in. Once again, bye-bye.